So what's up guys, welcome back to a brand new Modern Warfare video. For today's upload we're going to be taking a look at the top 3 meta weapons within Modern Warfare and their best class setups. So these are just the weapons that are most used in Modern Warfare, the most popular guns that you see being used and their best class setups, the ones that just shred the most in game and that you will want to try out if you haven't already, but because they're meta weapons you most likely already have had a go at these. As always I will put the setups on screen as the weapons are covered. I'm going to be doing this list from worst to best, so it'll be from the number 3 spot to the number 1 spot counting down. We've got 2 SMGs and 1 assault rifle. 2 guns are very obvious. The third one was a little bit interesting to choose because 2 of the guns in this video you guys will be very familiar with. They're very well known throughout Modern Warfare, and if you haven't used them already you've most likely played Modern Warfare for like not even a week, a couple days maybe. But anyway man, with that being said, we're going to jump into this. Like I said, it's from worst to best, so from number 3 to number 1. Let's get into it. Hope you guys enjoy. So jumping into this list, we're going to be starting off at the number 3 spot with the MP7. So the reason that I've put this gun in this position is not only the history I have with this gun, me personally using it, it was my absolute favorite gun within the beta and one that I used the most out of anything. It was just my number 1 most used gun. As you'll know when you first start playing the game, obviously it's, I don't know, maybe like level 47 or something like that. It's quite a high unlocked gun as it's the last SMG, and it was my personal favorite to use. Now in the game's current state, I would say that this is a top 3 SMG along with the AUG and the MP5, which we'll get onto one of them very soon. But the MP7 is just one of those SMGs that you can't let go of. It's a really great gun. It's got a 60 round clip in it as well that you can choose. It's just overall got a lot of great attachments, and it's a classic. It's the MP7, you know, it's been in Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2, and I'm just really excited to see it in Modern Warfare. It wouldn't make sense for it to not be in this game, you know, as it's a Modern Warfare game. So it's definitely one of the best SMGs in the game, and currently standing as it is a great class. Now I would have put the class setup on screen for you guys, but just to run over it, we're going to be rocking the monolithic suppressor, the FSS strike, which does damage range and bullet velocity. If you use the recon then you will get damage range, bullet velocity and recoil control, but I just like to use the strike because it's, you know, it's one that I want to use, as well as Merc foregrip, sleight of hand and the no stock attachment. Now the reason this class setup works well together is because you've got the FSS strike, like I said, giving you damage range and bullet velocity meaning your bullets will travel to the target quicker, and then obviously the damage range meaning your gun will do more damage at range. So that's 2 pretty big pros and, you know, two good pluses right there. If you've got monolithic suppressor increasing the damage range even more on top of the FSS strike, then Merc foregrip giving you the hipfire accuracy and recoil control. Hipfire accuracy is really good for SMGs because, you know, you're going to be rushing and running and gunning with SMGs. Hopefully you do move in Modern Warfare, like not all of the player base does. You've got hipfire accuracy as I mentioned, and that's really good for just, you know, like I said, rushing, running and gunning, everything like that. And then to give it a bit more of a rushing, running gun feel, you've got the sleight of hand perk as well, so you can get back into gunfights quicker and just obviously get your reload off a lot quicker. Then as well as the no stock attachment, giving you a bit of that ADS speed back as well as movement speed, because as you guys know, all the attachments that you add in this game have an effect some way or another, and the FSS strike, the other 2 attachments, monolithic and Merc foregrip, both decrease your movement speed as well as increase the ADS, so it's quite essential to use a no stock attachment if you're rocking those 3 that I mentioned at the start. Now coming in at the number 2 spot, we're going to be looking at a gun that I'm pretty sure you're not surprised is in the video. It's the M4A1, the Maddox of Modern Warfare, you know, the Honey Badger, the AN94 of Modern Warfare, whatever you want to compare it to. This gun is the main go-to weapon that everyone uses for the assault rifles and just guns in general. Of course there is other alternatives, but this just, nothing comes close to the M4A1 and its diversity with how the gun works. It can go at close, medium and long range. It's got a really good fire rate with pistol recoil. Like, this gun is just overall, it's definitely the best assault rifle in the game, like hands down the absolute best assault rifle that you can get within Modern Warfare, and I'm happy that it's in the game and we have something like that, which happens every Call of Duty. There's always those couple SMGs and assault rifles that everyone latches onto, like I mentioned before, the Maddox, the Honey Badger, you know, the AN94, the MP7, the MSMC, all those types of guns. There's always going to be each of them for each Call of Duty. So by now you guys would have already seen the class that I'm rocking for this M4A1, but like I did with the MP7, I'm going to go over the attachments, talk about the class overall and why I really enjoy using it. It's definitely one of my tops, so let's get into the class setup itself. First of all, we're going to be starting off with the muzzle and the barrel, those 2 being the monolithic suppressor for the muzzle and the barrel being the FSS 14.5 TAC Light. Moving on to the underbarrel, we're going to be rocking commando foregrip, 50 round mags and stippled grip grip tape. So a little bit about this class, I wanted to use a lightweight barrel that gave me ADS speed but didn't decrease anything too much, and the Tac Light barrel does decrease the time it takes you to ADS, making it faster, just for minusing a little bit of bullet velocity, which I tried to compensate by using monolithic suppressor, giving a bit of extra damage range. Obviously damage range isn't the same as bullet velocity, but it's still something to compensate for range, so there's that. I'm rocking Commando foregrip. This gives you recoil stabilization and aiming stability, which I think is quite a good compensation for Merc foregrip, as Merc foregrip does decrease your movement speed as well as your aim down sight speed, so it increases the time it takes to ADS, making it slower, and that's not, you know, the best benefit. It is good to use on quite a lot of guns, but Commando foregrip just feels right and feels very smooth with this class, along with the Tac Light barrel, you know, not decreasing or increasing the time it takes to ADS. The last two attachments is going to be 50 round mags for the ammunition and the stippled grip tape for the rear grip attachment. Now usually I would go with the no stock attachment, but this time I wanted to switch it up and give my gun ADS speed as well as sprint to fire, just to minus a little bit of aim stability, which isn't much in the first place, and you don't really notice it if I'm being honest with you. All around, this M4 class is a very good class to rush with, hence why I gave it the stippled grip tape, because you do get that sprint to fire speed, which is very important, of course, even though like some gunfights where you shoot first and die first, you know, that happens. At the same time, having sprint to fire speed will allow you to be shooting first and get your shot on before anyone else is able to within that gunfight, and that is a pretty good pro to have over the no stock attachment, which doesn't give you the sprint to fire speed that the stipple does. It also increases the recoil and greatly decreases the aiming stability, which is not something you're looking for, but at the same time it's not bad to use. And I guess if you didn't want to use stippled, no stock would be you know, an option as well. Now coming in at the number one spot with a gun that I have 14,000 kills with, it is the most used in my combat record. It's been my main weapon in Modern Warfare for months. I cannot believe I've used this gun so much, and we're going to be dropping at the number one spot, the MP5. Now I'm sure you expected, just like the M4, to see it in this video, because there is no other gun that deserves to be in the number one spot. Of course, depending on your playstyle, you might switch the MP5 around with the M4, and you know, vice versa, have these guns switch positions depending on which you like better. Obviously it's personal preference, but for me personally, in my playstyle and just the way that I like to play Modern Warfare, the MP5 is the go-to gun for me. Like I said, I've got 14,000 kills with it. It's my most used gun. I've got a 2.55 KD with it, and it's been the staple of like my Modern Warfare experience for months on end, and for good reason as well. I talked about the M4 having a lot of versatility and its flexibility, how you can play at close, medium and long range with this gun, you know, how it's got for high fire rate, low recoil. Well, the MP5 is exactly that. It's got quite the ability to go for long range shots. I know you may not believe it, but if you've used it enough, I'm sure you've got quite a few long shots that you're like, wait, hold on, an SMG can do that? This gun has a lot of great attachments, and it's very unique with the barrels. It's got two barrels that are integral suppressors. Basically, the first one is what I'm going to be using. We'll get onto the class very soon. You guys would have already seen it, but I like to break my classes down and explain them. So yeah, there's a monolithic integral suppressor and a subsonic integral. Both of them are really amazing to use, and they're great to run in your classes. I just personally think it's really awesome to finally see an MP5 back. But with that being said, we're going to jump into the class setup. So we're going to be rocking the monolithic integral suppressor, the Merc foregrip, 45 round mags, sleight of hand, and the F-Tac collapsible. So monolithic integral suppressor is basically two attachments in one. You get bullet velocity as well as sound suppression, and that's two pluses, just for a bit of increase on the time it takes for you to ADS, which isn't really a big deal when we're going to be rocking the F-Tac collapsible stock, which I'll get onto soon. But for the time being, we're going to be looking at the underbarrel being Merc foregrip. Now I talked about this with the MP7. It gives you recoil control and hipfire accuracy, which is great for an SMG when you're rushing, or sliding around a corner, whatever it may be. That hipfire accuracy is going to have a lot more of a chance of hitting your target and you getting that kill off rather than them. If they don't have Merc foregrip as well, obviously you're going to have a better chance, and it's just overall really good for an SMG. Now I'm quite an avid user of like Merc foregrip or Commando, and I've found that this is a lot smoother to run than Commando for the MP5 personally. It's just one of those things. I'm not too sure why. I don't know what it comes down to, but just in the end, personal preference is the Merc over the Commando. Moving on to the ammunition, I'm going to go over this quickly, but just the 45 round mags is what I'm going to be rocking, and the reason I like these over the 30 rounds is because first of all, they did get nerfed, and all the 45 round mags do is decrease your movement speed and make your ADS a little bit slower, whereas the 30 round mags give you damage and range, but they decrease the fire rate and increase the aiming recoil control. So you can see that the 45 round mags gives you the fire rate back and gives you the recoil as well, and overall I just like to use them compared to the 10mm auto 30 round mags. Now for the last two, we're going to be rocking the sleight of hand perk. I also mentioned this with the MP7. You can see a little bit of a pattern going here. I like to use Merc foregrip for most of my SMGs, as well as sleight of hand. I run and gun a lot, and I get into situations where reloading is very important, getting that reload out as quick as possible. So we're using sleight of hand, very obvious, and then we're going on to the F-Tac collapsible stock. This gives you plus on the movement speed, so it kind of combats the 45 round mags decrease on your movement speed, as well as a bit of aim down sight speed as well as just for increasing the recoil a little bit and the aiming stability, minusing the aiming stability I should mention, and that is the MP5 class. So that's it for the upload. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. It's the first type of list video I've done for guns. The last one I did was tips and tricks on how to get easier kills in Modern Warfare. So if you guys enjoyed and want to see more, all you gotta do is drop a like, and if you want to go the extra, the extra mile, sub to the channel with notifications on so you actually know when I upload and the notifications. So go out to you guys when the videos are live. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you guys in the next one, and I'm out.